Kia ora guys, and welcome to another episode of Rural New Zealand. I'm your host Scotty. Join me as we check out what's happening throughout Canterbury. Alrighty, it's Christmas just around the corner, so we're going to have a bit of fun later in the show. But first up, we meet a dairy farmer who has his own portable dairy farm milking shed. Well, firstly, just want to tell us how you sort of got started with the milking.
Well, I suppose I grew up in a farming family, and I looked at, taking over the family farm and going share milking and things, and I thought, in 15 years' time, would I be able to buy my farm? And the way things are going, I just didn't know if we could, with the way land's increasing and things like that. And I looked at I suppose some of the challenges that farmers were having environmentally and public perception wise, and I just thought we'd go the opposite way and try and design a dairy company that the dairy industry's biggest critics would be proud of. And that's kind of how we got to what we have today.
Yep.
Come again.
And you just sort of want to tell us sort of the facts and figures about how many cows you're sort of milking and stuff like that?
So I think we're milking 55 at the moment, and they produce we milk them once a day, and they produce about 12 litres a cow. So our production's not great, but we then process that milk, we pasteurise it, we bottle it, and we sell it for about, I think, $30 a kg of milk solids.
That's a pretty good return, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
So have you sort of designed the trailer yourself, or what's going to be?
So yeah, I just took some sketch drawings down to our local engineer, and I said this is what we want to do, and let him go to it, and it's kind of what we got. So we've designed it ourselves, we built it ourselves. I bought the plant off Trade Me, and borrowed my cousin's cheese vat as our pasteuriser, and we've sort of cobbled it together.
And how do you sort of find land for milking?
Well, just word of mouth really. I just knock on people's doors and have a chat and try and find anyone who's got a bit of spare land. So we're really lucky here. We've got a 12 hectare block that's irrigated from an older dairy farmer. But we're always looking for more.
And it must be quite good, and if you get sick of this place you can sort of move on, or?
Yeah, well, when we run out of grass we just move to the next block. And what that actually does is it allows us to actually spread the nutrient loading of our cows over a greater area. So when you model that, we have a lower environmental impact as well.
And how have things been going with the company so far?
Oh, it's good. I mean, we've got lots of people who want to buy our milk, so plenty of demand there. But there's a lot. We milk cows, we process milk, and then we market and retail milk. And there's a lot of work involved in all that and trying to coordinate it all. So we're sort of the last year and a half learning how to do it all. What we really want to do is challenge farmers and say, look, or young farmers in particular, and say, just think about your circumstances and start, asking questions about how you can go dairy farming. So we do things, we own no land, we own a couple of cows, and we're able to go dairy farming. So I just want to encourage people to give it a crack.
Well, make sure you try some of that delicious milk and support the local people in Canterbury. Alrighty, stay tuned on Rural New Zealand, because after the break we're going to have some fun where we meet a reindeer farmer who also does a bit of turkey hunting. See you guys soon. Welcome back to Rural New Zealand. Now, some people don't believe in Father Christmas or reindeer, so I don't expect you to believe this next segment, which we had a bit of fun with. So Tim, do you want to tell us sort of where we are in the world right now?
Scotty, we're just in the foothills here in North Canterbury. You're probably not aware, but out of all the Canterburys here in New Zealand, North Canterbury is actually the closest to the North Pole, which makes this the ideal location for breeding reindeer.
Yeah. And what sort of led you to sort of get into breeding the reindeer? I mean, that's, what were you sort of farming before that, and what sort of decided to move towards it?
Well, basically, Scotty, I've always been into the reindeer breeding. From just an early age there, I've got an Uncle Nick that lives in the Northern Hemisphere. He actually got me started and gave me the in. He gave me my first reindeer stag, and we started breeding from there, and basically just took off.
And what are some of the issues you obviously have, with the stock?
Well, basically the main issue is that we don't have here in North Canterbury is what we have here in North Canterbury, I mean to say, is running water. Whereas up there in the North Pole, the abundance of running water is not around, so we actually replace the troughs flowing water with ice, and we let them get used to just licking the ice and the snow.
Yeah. And how do they sort of acclimatise? Are they sort of bred for these conditions, or are they, how are they basically acclimatised to this kind of weather?
Well, we breed them here, and I think when something's born in a climate, it generally gets used to it. The hardest issue, I think, is when they go to the North Pole. To start with, they're probably a little bit chilly, and I'm not sure how Uncle Nick deals with that there. I stay out of it. It sounds like a lot of hard work, kind of in barns and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And is there quite a demand for them? Like, what do they mostly get used for?
Well, most of them, Scotty, like we've got 200 head here, and we breed them in May, and they're born around about November, December, and once they're a year old, we'll start handling them a little bit, put a harness on them, 2 deer in a team for a start, and start towing small sleds. And then if they're showing potential, maybe by the time they're 2, we'll send probably 3 out of 180 2-year-olds up there. So not a huge demand in the sledding teams, but so mostly meat. Yeah, lots of them never get to fulfill their dream of becoming sleigh deer.
And what does the meat taste like?
Oh, it's fantastic, Scotty. Real tender, good red meat. You can't beat it, really. Yeah.
And are you having any thoughts of improving the flock, like increasing numbers, or are you quite happy with the 200?
200's pretty good. Like I say, I mean, when you're only getting 3 out of 180 deer on the ground for towing sleds, you don't really want to increase numbers too high. Yeah. I mean, a good sled deer's worth 70 or 80 grand to Uncle Nick, which keeps us going, but other than that, I'm not really looking into too much more breeding. I guess if there was demand for presents got too big, or whatever he uses the deer for got too big, maybe we'll start a sled team up here in the South Pole, and he might want more then, and we'll go to 400 hinds, I guess.
And I know you're a massive fan of getting the rifle out and shooting the odd occasional turkey that you released on the farm a few years ago. Absolutely,
yes, Scotty. Especially now that it's the festive season. I keep my eye out for good meat turkeys and something to put on the table there at Christmas time. Yeah.
Do you reckon we should go have a wee wander around the riverbed or something silly? See if we can find a few.
I think so, yeah. I've had my eye on a good flock there for the last few days because I heard you guys were coming, so I'd love to take you out.
Awesome, sounds good. So Tim, I think we're down at, let's just call it Block X, but what have we sort of got?
Spot X.
Spot X, not Block X. Okay. So what are we in for?
Well, basically, I've let the turkeys go in the hardest place to hunt. The theory was I like a challenge, and it's going to deter any poachers because turkeys, obviously at this time of year especially, are a big prize. So we want to do a bit of stalking.
So what do you reckon the secret is to catching a turkey?
Well, you want to have a good call on you.
Yeah.
And I always like to imagine that it's the noise that your girlfriend makes when you're trying to get her out of a party. She won't leave. You know, she's talking to friends. She's... You're a natural.
Thank you. Ooh. Maybe this was... Okay.
Hear that?
I suppose I've got to give them time to respond instead of you calling then. Hi calling.
Well, they're generally in groups, so you can call quite a bit.
Is there any like telltale sort of signs? Like, is there anything we should be looking for? Like pig rootings or?
Yeah, we should be looking for turkeys, the animals.
Okay.
They're a bird. See that? There's one over there. They're on the move. They're on the move. Not really gender friendly. What sort of hunting footwear is that? Not good.
I've got a splinter.
There's so many over there. I could throw a stone and I'd get two.
Do you reckon we got one?
We'll go and have a look.
So Timothy, doesn't look like we kind of got the bird we were looking for.
Well, there was 14 turkeys there that I counted before I started shooting, and 14 actually ran away. The only conclusion I can come up with is that my sight's out, I think, yeah. Had it dead on them.
Yeah, well, you did say that you could easily hit them with a rock, but maybe
yeah,
these turkeys have probably got cunning over the years.
That was a metaphor.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, all the best. Thanks for sharing your time with us today,
no
Tim.
worries, mate.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks very much, Scotty. Merry Christmas to you too.
It's a shame we didn't shoot any turkeys, but that's just the way hunting goes. Alrighty, stay tuned on Rural New Zealand, because after the break, we bring you the world premiere of our brand new song, Rural Christmas. Welcome back to Rural New Zealand. Now, you guys at home get to see this, the good take, but Simon will tell you behind the camera that from time to time it doesn't go too smoothly. Yep, I got it. Welcome back to Rural New Zealand. Pasture pugging is a real issue. Welcome back to Rural New Zealand. Now, in the winter months, pasture pugging can be a real pain in the grass, but we went... Like any animal, a lot of thought should be going on. Like any animal, a lot of short... Kia ora and welcome to another... Kia ora and welcome to another... Oops. Is that good? Too bright? Is that alright? How bright's that? Or is that too bright? Hey, I got it in a take! I got it in a take! One take! I'm ready for live TV, Jared. Ready. Alright. If you're after a roller drive, farming becoming a real thing, that just makes sense. New irrigation steep. Alrighty, stay tuned on Aotearoa. I haven't even written in what we're up to next week. God. It's great to see a lake. We're up the road to the Tamaria, bud. Next, we're up the road to the Tamania station is, I don't know, Tamania Bulls. Yay! Yay, I finally did something right. After the break, we talk to Harman lawyers and we test out the lake co-op in New Zealand, because after the break, we test... Stay tuned, because after the break on Rural New Zealand, we talk to Harman lawyers and we're testing out the latest fencing supplies from... Then the voiceover starts and it says, though I had no idea what I was doing, I thought I'd give it a crack anyway. What's your name?
Crawford Liddell.
Crawford Liddell. What a name.
It's a worry, isn't it?
So this day and age must be pretty hard to lock out. So in this day and age it must be pretty good. So in this day and age it must be pretty hard to lock down some good stuff. And have you, do you prefer...
See how it goes.
Well, I'm a bit of a natural, I'll say that.
Sounds good.
No, I'm not. But I'll voice that over and say I'm not. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
That's right. Like what's here, but you can mount from either side, really. But Icelandic horses, it doesn't matter. Usually you mount from the left, but left for them. And just hold on to the saddle.
Oh man, I can't even get up. And they get some astounding views as well.
Oh yes, it's superb, and they probably thrive on the view, Scott.
as we all do.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I'd be a happy goat if I was here. So, cool.
Probably not the best thing to say that you'd be a happy goat, Scott.
No, but I do kid around. The things that, you know, people out in the rural, you know, what can people do out
Coffee.
the dry shit, hey?
Oh, I think you had the dirty cat with the rat poison.
So I'm feeling so good. So I can't get my words out properly. Okay, you rolling?
How do you turn it off? Thank God you're in here.
So we're getting better.
Yeah.
Effective now.
Yes, that's what you get to do when you do lots and lots of takes of the same thing because someone forgets to turn the camera on.
I know. You look better.
Take your shirt in, Scotty, for God's sake.
Oh.
God, he's rough, isn't he?
That happens when you get fat, you don't realise what's going on.
So that's basically it, and yeah, that is basically it. Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to word it. I just saying like.
What's your team next up of?
Yeah. Yep.
We're not just farming sheep and cattle and deer now, we're farming tourists as well. I guess one of the good things about it is we don't have to drench the tourists.
The mob, what?
Just bring it down for you. Keep the same distance.
Sorry, mate. It's peaking. On the grassy lands on the Banks Peninsula are two famous sheep. One, the mother, the other, the two offspring, on their springtime journey to the meatworks. The babies both run up to mum and say, I want a good feeding. And then they bash her boobs till they spill milk all over. She's not having a bar of it. Should we do that, Can you go that way? Or? Yeah, mate, I know the country calendar ratings are through the roof, but rural New Zealand will get there one day. Trust me. Hey, I gotta go, we're filming Up the Hills anyway. Hey guys, Scotty here from rural New Zealand. If it's not your favourite show, then it should be. So make sure you tune in and see this dork wearing this outfit somewhere in rural Canterbury. See you guys then. There comes a time every year when these songs are played. Are you ready for the world premiere of our awesome, yet to be named Christmas song? Oh, you are? Awesome. Those bells are ringing, you know what time of year it is again, Christmas time. Christmas just the way you like it. How about you go get Daddy another beer? Sure thing, Dad! We all sit round a tree and give some epic presents. Mine are always shit, but what do you expect from your cousins? It's such a fun lovey-dovey. Beer and drinky, eat too muchy pasta on the couch, tell me here. And that's our show. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Rural New Zealand. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. Just remember to give us a like on Facebook, and if you're silly enough to miss an episode, you can always watch it on demand. Have a safe and very Merry Christmas from all of us here at the Rural New Zealand team. Catch you later.